Hello, how are you?
Good, Sumeet. How you been?
Good as well. I know the last time we spoke, it was peak of COVID, 4 years ago. And we spoke at length about Shivaji Maharaj, nationalism, life in US versus India. So we have with us again Dhairyasheel Borde. He is an avid reader, writer on finance, history, politics, faith, and psychology. Happy to have you
Thank you.
in person this time. And as I said, that was peak of COVID when we last chat. Now we are in the peak of election season.
That's right.
So let's chat about that.
Sure.
What do you think about democracy?
So, Sumit, before getting into what I think about democracy, let's take a look into what is democracy. Democracy was beautifully defined by Abraham Lincoln as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The foundation of the Constitution of the United States is based on the premise of inalienable right of people to pursue life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. मराठीत सांगायचं झालं तर जीवनाचा, स्वातंत्र्याचा आणि आनंदाचा उपभोगाचा स्वातंत्र्य असणारं म्हणजे लोकशाही. And that's a beautiful definition of democracy. Now, if we look around the world, आता समजा आपण चायनाकडे पाहिलं तर that's a communist country, one party rule. रशियाकडे पाहिलं तर again it's a one party rule of Putin, it's an oligarchy. So wherever you talk about a one party rule or one autocrat in power, that obviously to me is not democracy. If you look at United Kingdom, it is democracy with the monarchy as the ceremonial head of the country. And if you look at India, so the constitution defines India as a sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic republic. So Indian constitution मध्येच they have defined India as a socialist country. Nowhere in the American constitution have they defined that America is a capitalistic country. And the way both of the constitutions have defined their countries is a federal republic. म्हणजे प्रजासत्ताक गणराज्य आणि रिपब्लिक म्हणजे रूल ऑफ द पीपल आणि फेडरल म्हणजे इट इज ए मिक्स्ड फॉर्म ऑफ गव्हर्नमेंट वेअर यू हॅव द गव्हर्नमेंट ॲट द सेंटर अँड गव्हर्नमेंट इन द स्टेट्स. So both India and US demonstrate these features. The difference there is that India has a parliamentarian form of democracy, संसदीय लोकशाही आहे, आणि अमेरिका is a presidential form of democracy, अध्यक्षीय democracy आहे. The beauty of both the constitution, although democracy is all about freedoms, स्वातंत्र्य, the beauty of both the constitutions is that the word freedom is mentioned only once in both the constitutions, and that mention is in respect of the freedoms that the people will enjoy, which is the freedom of speech and freedom of religion and freedom of assembly, things such as that. Now why is that so? Why does it have a mention? If democracy is all about freedoms, why is there mention of freedom only once? Is because the whole structure of the government has been done in a form that will ensure freedoms to the people of those nations. And if you want to distinguish between different forms of isms, I think somebody had said it in a lighter vein, that capitalism is an unequal distribution of blessings and socialism is an equal distribution of misery. But that being apart, I think democracy is all about freedoms, the inalienable right of people to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That is the beauty of democracy.
Interesting. I loved your definition of capitalism and socialism. So, of course, I have a lot of questions on the background of the democracies, the key differences, and the election methods, obviously. But before we go there, you did mention that US is a presidential democracy and India is a parliamentary democracy. I would of course want to understand why the difference. But before we talk about the why, let's talk about what is presidential democracy and what is a parliamentary democracy.
That's a good segue, Sumit. So let me first emphasize once again that both forms of government are democracies and they are a federal republic. A federal republic again means, federal is a mix of union government and the state government, and republic means representatives elected by the people. So both democracies have these features. The difference arises only in structure. So in a parliamentary form of democracy, the elected representatives, which are the members of parliament, they will come together and elect the prime minister. So if you see, the executive branch, which comprises of the prime minister and his cabinet of ministers, are elected from the members of parliament, and therefore it is called the parliamentary form of democracy. In a presidential form of democracy, the president is elected directly by the people, and his cabinet serves at the pleasure of the president. What does that mean? The cabinet of the president are not elected representatives. They are appointees by the president and then confirmed by the Congress, which is the Senate and the House of Representatives. So that is the primary difference, which is just structural in nature. The basic tenet of democracy, freedoms, and the representatives of the people remains intact in both the forms of government.
Got it. Interesting. So if my understanding is correct, in the parliamentary democracy, the executive and the legislative branches are one and the same. But in the presidential democracy, they are different and distinct.
I couldn't have said it better, Sumit. Perfect.
So, thank you for the details. Thank you for your time and talking about different forms of government, democracy, that the entire details, the context, and the presidential and parliamentary democracy details, that is giving me even more fodder for more questions. And I want to know more.
Sure.
I want to ask why. I want to ask about the way a president is elected. Let's chat about that in our next episode.
Sure.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed our talk. If you want to know more about why the difference in the democracies, the background behind the difference in the democracies, and how a president of the United States is elected, stay tuned for the next episode. And please do not forget to hit on that subscribe button so that you get to know when we post our next episode. Thank you, everyone.